The advancement effect of the original Dragon Abyss is getting more and more ordinary. Looks like the upper limit of the original Dragon Abyss is here. He shook his head, not surprised. The original Dragon Abyss was a pure-blooded dragon soldier-type building, and the number of pure-blooded dragons was known to the myriad worlds after all. He was already very surprised that he could summon so many pure-blooded dragons and legendary dragons that in addition. When summoning, there was a 10% chance of summoning 2 legendary dragons. It was also a good improvement. However, that was all. The legendary dragons were only Master God tier dragons after all. The current Zhou Zhou, a Master God tier legendary dragon, was nothing. A Supreme God legendary dragon, such as the Azura Evil Dragon Underlord of 10,000 Evils, was in existence that surprised Zhou Zhou. Unfortunately, a Supreme God-level dragon like Azura Evil Dragon probably wouldn't be able to summon it with the upper limit of the original Dragon Abyss, as for the next level of advancement in the original Dragon Abyss. Zhou Zhou only took a glance before retracting his gaze. Another building that could only be upgraded after the territory was upgraded. Then, he returned to the Kingdom of God and sent someone to call Mugu, Zheng Fugui, and Carol Moali over. A moment later, the 3 of them arrived in front of Zhou Zhou. "Greetings, Your Majesty," the 3 of them said respectfully. "Yes, as you can see, the territory has already been promoted to Master God tier elementary grade. Tell me about your respective improvements." Zhou Zhou said. Mugu was naturally the first to stand up. "Your Majesty, the Scarlet Broodmother that I'm currently in has been upgraded from True God tier advanced grade to Master God tier elementary grade. The number of mist mothers evolved from the Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet Broodmother has increased from 20 million to 50 million. Each Mist Mother world can now nurture 100 billion fog monsters. 50 million Mist Mothers can nurture a total of 500 capital units fog monsters. In addition, the quality and efficiency of cultivating high-quality Scarlet Heirs has also increased. Currently, I can already nurture 10 Master God tier elementary grade Scarlet God Spirits in a day. As for True God tiers and ordinary God Spirits, unless the Crimson Overlord dies and the Scarlet Fog no longer exists in the myriad worlds, as long as I have enough time, I can nurture them endlessly," Mugu said confidently. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. After Mugu's Scarlet Broodmother advanced from True God tier advanced grade to Master God tier elementary grade, its breeding ability had indeed improved greatly. 500 capital units Misty monsters, which meant if he used all these Mist Mothers to nurture his soldier type, with the enhancement of Lord talents and titles like Heavenly Fate Di Huang, he would be able to obtain 1,000 capital units Supreme God Realm Soldier recruitment books, 1,000 capital units Supreme God Realm Soldier Class Change Certificate, 1,000 capital units Supreme Holy Mage God recruitment books, and 1,000 capital units Supreme Holy Mage God Class Change Certificate, which meant he could have an additional 4,000 capital units recruits in a day. He only had 2,000 capital units soldiers. The number of newly recruited soldiers today was already twice that of his total military strength. Moreover, these 4,000 capital unit soldiers would all be Supreme Soldier-type soldiers with the lowest strength of an extraordinary tier advanced grade. Lord of 10,000 Evils exclaimed in disbelief. In addition, in terms of nurturing the Scarlet God Spirit, Mugu's ability had also made a huge breakthrough. Now, he could actually nurture a Master God tier. Moreover, he could nurture 10 Master Gods in a day. An expert who stood at the top of the myriad worlds sounded like a product on an assembly line when Mugu said it. However, Zhou Zhou still had the same idea. If he could not nurture God spirits, he would nurture ordinary soldiers. Zhou Zhou said directly, "Of your 50 million Mist Mothers, 25 million will be used to nurture the Ruler of Chaos, and the other 25 million will be used to nurture the Primordial Holy Cannon." "Yes, Your Majesty." Mugu nodded respectfully. Then, he retreated. Seeing this, Zheng Fugui stepped forward, reporting to Your Majesty. Now, the number of mysterious merchants has increased from 500 billion to 1 trillion after the territory upgraded to the Master God tier elementary grade. The number of carriages transporting goods has also increased to 1 trillion. Among these 1 trillion mysterious merchants, there are a total of 1 million master god tiers, 99 billion true god tiers, and 900 billion ordinary god spirits. Our treasure hunting ability has improved again. In the future, when we go out to do business, we should be able to bring back at least 1 million god tier treasures each time. In addition, as one of the core branches of the mysterious merchant chamber of commerce, our status has increased again. Currently, we are already a direct branch of the mysterious merchant chamber of commerce. The salary we receive every day has increased from 5,000 mysterious merchant chamber of commerce points to 10,000 mysterious merchant chamber of commerce points. He said, respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded. He felt a little emotional. A million master god tier, 100 billion true god tiers, nearly trillions of ordinary god spirits. Every time he was a little pleased with the progress of his power, Zheng Fugui's mysterious chamber of commerce would give him a blow to the head, telling he that there was always someone better out there. Just the direct line of descent already had such a force he did not dare to imagine how terrifying the combined strength of the entire mysterious merchant chamber of commerce was. Zheng Fugui left after saying that. Seeing this, Carol Moeli stood up and said respectfully, reporting to Your Majesty. Your Majesty, after the territory was upgraded to the Master God tier elementary grade, our life arc already has a clergyman from the capital units, a priest from the capital units, a nun from the capital units, and 100 life paladins from the capital units. These clergymen are enough to complete the war treatment mission and the war resurrection mission for 100 capital units. Also, currently, there are already 2 billion high-level divine duty members at the life arc god spirit level. Every one of them has mastered the resurrection spells, and they can resurrect the deities of our country alone. As for my strength, I'm still a master god tier advanced grade. I haven't improved yet. Not only was Zhou Zhou not surprised, but he was also a little worried. The 10,000 strong capital units war healing mission and war revival mission. If Zhou Zhou had heard this number in the past, he would definitely be overjoyed and feel that he did not have to worry about the soldiers' treatment and resurrection for the time being. However, he had an army of 2,000 capital units under his command. Furthermore, starting tomorrow, he would be able to obtain 4,000 capital units recruits from the Scarlet Broodmother every day, which meant 3 days later, there would be insufficient healers in the life arc sides. Time to recruit healing professionals and resurrection professionals from the myriad worlds. It just so happens that I can carry out the plan with the all-heaven station. Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. Then he chatted with Mu Gu and them for a while longer about the arrangements for the future. After that, he let them return Zhou. Zhou instructed Zheng Yuanqi to recruit healing type professionals and resurrection type professionals from the myriad worlds in the plan of the heavenly post through his personal terminal. Then, he entered the reincarnation sacred palace and continued cultivating. At the same time, Zhou Marshal had already led his army to the Chaos Sea. Just as he arrived at the Chaos Sea, before Zhou Marshal could look for the time ruins, he saw a 5-colored stream of light fly over from not far away. Then, it quickly arrived in front of Zhou Marshal and revealed itself that it looked like a tiger. It had 5-colored fur, a snake tail, a turtle's back, a human face, and a box. The voice it spoke was as tender and pleasant as a baby's. It was one of the worshipped master gods of the Chaos God race, Bai Zhe. After the Chaos God's race returned the Chaos Sea to the Chaos humans. Haze of Chaos, the patriarch of the Chaos God's race, did not expel the Chaos God's race. Instead, he carved out a place in the Chaos Sea for them to rest. The reason was simple. Haze of Chaos knew that the Chaos God's race and the Chaos human race had a long-standing grudge. However, Haze of Chaos was very clear-headed. He knew that everything he had now was given to him by Zhou Zhou, and he and the entire Chaos human race had already become a direct descendant race under Zhou Zhou, second only to the Blazing Sun God race that in his position. He was scheming. Haze of Chaos felt that he should be more considerate of His Majesty, since His Majesty had already designated the entire Chaos God's race as a slave race of the Blazing Sun Empire. He definitely wanted the powerful Chaos God's race to stay behind and serve him, even if the Chaos God's race was a slave race. They were once one of the 3 top bloodline races after all. They were only inferior to the original spirit race and were even stronger than the Shepherd's God race. If the Haze of Chaos relied on its own wishes to suppress and destroy such a powerful race, it would feel good. However, it would also lose a powerful force under His Majesty. Even if His Majesty did not say anything on the surface, he might have a grudge in his heart. Even if there was only a slight possibility, as the leader of the clan, Haze of Chaos did not want this to happen from the perspective of the future of the race. Therefore, for the sake of the overall situation, the Haze of Chaos did not exterminate the Chaos God's race. In fact, it even left a habitat for them. As for whether the Chaos God's race would continue to oppress the Chaos human race after recuperating. Haze of Chaos was not worried at all. He knew that His Majesty had the Chaos human bloodline. Such a thing would never happen unless His Majesty was gone one day. Speaking of which, when Baize saw Zhou Marshal, he immediately apologized respectfully. Baize greets Your Majesty. I rushed over as soon as I heard the news of Your Majesty's arrival. I didn't expect to be a step late. Please punish me, Your Majesty. It's fine. Zhou Marshal waved his hand, indicating that he did not mind. They had directly warped over through the warp gate of the Shadow World. The time spent on the way could almost be described as a moment. It was already not bad that the other party could arrive so quickly. Furthermore, Zhou Marshal wasn't someone who cared about such trivial matters. He didn't want to think too much about it, and instead said, "You look hesitant. Do you have something to tell this emperor? Your Majesty, please look into this matter," Baize said respectfully. Just now, a large group of foreign race leaders suddenly appeared outside our Chaos Sea. They wanted to enter the Chaos Sea to explore. The lords of the Chaos human tribe asked them why they were here. In the end, they said that there are resources in the Chaos Sea for them to advance to the Master God tier level. They want to go in and obtain them. Patriarch Haze of Chaos didn't deal with this matter easily. When he heard that Your Majesty was here, he immediately sent me over to ask for Your Majesty's opinion. As for Patriarch Haze of Chaos, he is still trying to stabilize those people of foreign races. These guys got here pretty fast. Zhou Marshal clicked his tongue in wonder. He had just learned from Bodhi Supreme that there were many time ruins of the Chaos era in the Chaos Sea. He did not expect that after just a while, these leaders of the other races would actually know this news and even come to obtain resources. He really could not underestimate the myriad races in the world. Zhou Marshal lamented inwardly that it was true that he had the omniscient Bodhi Supreme. However, the foundation of those ancient races could not be underestimated. Tell the Haze of Chaos not to worry. These people of foreign races will retreat on their own in a while, Zhou Marshal said. Baize was stunned, not quite understanding the reason behind this. However, it was smart enough not to ask any questions. It only took its leave respectfully. Sure enough, in less than a moment, Baize sent a message through the army panel. He told the people of foreign races that they had left one after another. When Zhou Marshal saw Baize's message, he nodded slightly that it seemed like Zheng Yuanqi's news had already arrived. Then, he stopped caring and followed the map given by Bodhi Supreme to the time ruins. Zhou Marshal looked at the door of the time ruins in front of him. This door was dark golden in color and was engraved with ancient murals. It should be describing the history of the most ancient era. At a glance, Zhou Zhou felt as if he was in the wrong time. The power of time. Zhou Marshal's expression was solemn. This time ruins was clearly of a much higher level than Nadia's time ruins. He looked over and a text notification appeared. Time ruins name. Chaos of death. Grade. Supreme. Introduction to the time ruins. At the end of the Chaos era, the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord made an agreement to attack the Chaos Will at the same time. Both sides joined forces and killed the father who created them. They used the inheritance left behind by the Chaos Will to create the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Crimson Great Cosmos, and became the Great Universe Master. Note 1. This time ruins will automatically reset once a day to obtain a new opportunity to enter. Note 2. You can only bring 10,000 subjects into this time ruins at most. Note 3. If you die in the time ruins, if you don't have any resurrection methods, you will really die. Please protect yourself. Zhou Marshall looked at the introduction of the time ruins and frowned. There was something wrong with the description of the ruins. Back then, he had heard of the creation myth from the Bodhi Supreme. He learned from Bodhi Supreme that the chaos will had predicted in advance that he was going to die because of the creation of the world. Therefore, before he died, he gave his authority over the chaos origin to his eldest daughter, the Supreme Will, and one of his second daughters, the Crimson Overlord. In the end, because the path of the Supreme Lord was more suitable for controlling the great cosmos after the creation of the world, the Chaos Will wanted to hand over its authority over the chaos to the Supreme Will. After Crimson Overlord heard this news, it felt that it was the best choice to control the universe after the creation of the world. Therefore, after the death of the Chaos Will, the Crimson Overlord no longer hid its intentions. In order to fight for the authority of the Chaos Origin, it fought with the Supreme Will. After a head-on clash of strength, it finally obtained half of the corpse of the Chaos Will, which represented half of the authority of the Chaos Origin. Then, the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord each used half of their corpses to create the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Crimson Great Cosmos. All the races knew about it after all. At this moment, Zhou Marshall recalled the creation myth that the Bodhi Supreme had told him back then. He was even more confused compared to the introduction of the time ruins in front of him. At this moment, Zhou Marshall recalled the creation myth that the Bodhi Supreme had told him back then. Compared to the introduction of the time ruins in front of him, he was even more confused. Zhou Marshall thought for a while and vaguely felt that the introduction of the time ruins might be right. This feeling came inexplicably, but his intuition made he believe this. Zhou managed took a deep breath. Forget it that I didn't believe either of them at first. What the real history of the past was did not mean much to him. He was a lord, not a historian after all. Who cared what had happened to it? Furthermore, when his physical strength reached a certain level, the true history would naturally appear in front of him. Thinking too much now is just asking for trouble. Only 10,000 subjects can enter this time ruins. Zhou Marshall looked at this request and selected 9,999 top-notch Master God tiers and a Grade 1 Ultimate Void Supreme God from his subordinates. He did not dare to underestimate this time ruins. So the subordinates he brought were all top-notch. However, he did not dare to bring all the Supreme Gods with him. Otherwise, if he really encountered any mishaps as an incarnation, it would be fine if he died. His main body could be revived by replenishing his origin. If those Supreme Gods died, it would be difficult to resurrect them. Even though Thanatos currently had the ability to resurrect Supreme Gods, as a new god who had just entered the Supreme God realm, he could only resurrect Grade 1 Supreme Gods at most. No matter how strong he was, he could not resurrect them. This was not enough for the Supreme Gods under Zhou Zhou. Then, he pushed open the dark golden door and entered the time ruins. Zhou Fight opened his eyes. He looked at the world in front of him. Then, he realized that this was a chaotic world. Why is it chaotic? This was because the world in front of him was still in a state before the creation of the world. Violent and chaotic airflow could be seen everywhere. In addition to the chaotic airflow, strands of pure white light and strands of scarlet fog were mixed in addition to the three-colored substance. There were also a large number of god spirits under the Supreme Will, the god spirits under the Crimson Overlord, and chaotic divine demons fighting. There were ordinary god spirits, true god tiers, master god tiers, supreme gods, and even supreme existences. They attacked unscrupulously, causing the chaotic airflow to constantly disintegrate and reform. The nomological laws were reversed, and the void collapsed. It even made Zhou Zhou feel as if he did not know where he was or where he was. Chaos. It was too chaotic. Zhou Fight took a deep breath as he stared intently at the fighting figures. Those were all supreme will-level existences. He had never seen it before. Now, he had actually seen it in this time ruin. And there was more than one. The scene of such an existence battling was truly frightening. However, he couldn't bear to look away. The Master God Tiers and Grade 1 Ultimate Void Supreme Gods behind him had also woken up at this moment. Like Zhou Wu, they were staring at the vast battle scene intently. Zhou Marshall did not care about them. Right at that moment, Zhou Marshall suddenly realized something. There were a lot of supreme will-level existences here. There were at least 1,000 of them. As for the supreme will-level existences in the real world, Bodhi Supreme had once revealed some to Zhou Zhou. Under the Supreme Will, there seemed to be no more than 50 famous supreme will-level existences and hidden will-level existences. It was the same for Crimson Overlord. In other words, in the real world, there were only about 100 supreme will-level experts under Crimson Overlord. And here, there were over 1,000 supreme will-level experts. In other words, later, the extra supreme will-level experts had all disappeared or died. Did he die in this war? Zhou Marshall thought. His expression could not help but turn solemn. This war was actually so bitter. Even so many supreme will-level experts died. So there were only about 100 supreme will-level experts left in the future generations. Did not even record much of this history. That I don't think any of the survivors want to talk about this history. Fortunately, the original body does not live in this era. Zhou Marshall thought to himself. Right at that moment, a familiar mission interface also appeared in front of Zhou Marshall. Time negotiation has begun. You and your subordinates will automatically belong to the Supreme Will faction. Current camps: 1 Supreme Will camp, 1 Crimson Overlord camp, friendly. 3 Chaos Will camp, hostile. Time mission. Time mission 1. Eliminate the enemy. Mission details: eliminate the chaotic divine demons until the Supreme Willpower Realm experts arrive. Mission objective: 1 King Chaotic Divine Demon, Master God Tier, 0/20. 2 Emperor Chaotic Divine Demons, Supreme God, 0/5. 3 Saint Chaotic Divine Demons, Supreme Will, 0/1. Gift of Time: kill chaotic divine demons of any level. There is a 10% chance of dropping the corresponding Book of the God Spirit. Time mission 2. Protect comrades. Mission details: protect and heal your wounded comrades in your region. Mission objective: all 20 comrades are safe and alive, and some have returned to the battlefield to fight, 0/20. Gift of Time: every time you protect and heal a comrade, you can recruit a god of the same level in reality. Time mission 3. Chaos of Death, exclusive to Obscure Supreme Lord Reserve Army. Mission details: witness the death of the Chaos Will and understand its secrets. Mission objective: witness the death of the Chaos Will. Learn from the Supreme Will or the Crimson Overlord why they joined forces to kill the Chaos Will. Gift of Time: Supreme Lord Reserve exclusive. Supreme Lord Reserve Army Power Upgrade. Note: Time mission 1 and 2 needs to be completed. Countdown to the time ruins: 23 hours, 51 minutes, and 15 seconds. After Zhou Marshall finished reading, his gaze landed on the 3rd mission. He could not help but be surprised. There was actually a Supreme Lord Reserve Army that belonged solely to him, and the reward was an increase in weight. This mission must be completed. Zhou Marshall immediately thought. This concerned the increase in weight, so he had no choice but to take it seriously. Still, Zhou Marshall's gaze landed on the first time mission: destroy a chaotic divine demon. Is this mission a joke? What was the difference between this mission and asking Journey Tyrant to destroy Tang Sanzang and his disciple? A Supreme Will-level powerhouse could probably wipe them out with a single look. Zhou Fight had no intention of challenging this mission and decided to ignore it for the time being. Right at that moment, Zhou Marshall suddenly raised his head and looked into the distance. He saw 20 Master God Chaotic Divine Demons and 5 Supreme God Chaotic Divine Demons flying towards them. Dahar, will take your lives, Supreme Will's bitches men. The leader of the group, a Grade 4 Chaotic Divine Demon Supreme God, laughed sinisterly when Zhou Marshall saw their lineup. He heaved a sigh of relief. The other parties. Chaotic Divine Demon did not attack. Immediately, he flipped his right hand and saw a pure white fire seed appear in his hand. He threw it into the sky, and the fire seed soared into the sky. Then, there was a huge explosion. This huge explosion produced a large number of nomological fluctuations and condensed the symbol of the supreme eye in the air. This was a seeking fire seed. Furthermore, it was the highest level seeking fire seed. Once it was used, it meant that a supreme will realm existence had come to launch a surprise attack. They urgently needed a supreme will realm existence from their side to come and save them. When Zhou Marshall first appeared on the battlefield, he realized that he had this thing on him for no reason other than that. There were also other low-level seeking fire seeds that could call supreme gods and master gods over to help. These things might be items that came with entering the time ruins, generally speaking. According to the rules of the battlefield, the seeking fire seed could only be used in times of danger. For example, the highest level seeking fire seed could only be used when the enemy's supreme will realm attacked. If you don't follow the rules and use it freely, you will be severely punished by the supreme will. However, Zhou Marshall couldn't care less at this moment by the time the enemy's supreme will came to launch a sneak attack and use the seeking fire seed of the highest level. They would have long been dead by the time the supreme will of their side arrived. Let's call him over first at AS for the punishment. When the time of the time ruins was up, they would automatically exit the time ruins. When the time ruins opened again the next day, the powerhouses in the time ruins would all be forced to reset. Since Zhou Marshall knew about this situation, he was naturally not afraid of any punishment. That you're going to be refreshed. There's real loss only if we die. If I make the wrong choice, I'll come back tomorrow at the same time. Just as Zhou Marshall sent out the seeking fire seed. In the chaotic airflow that was an unknown distance away from Zhou Marshall and accompanied a beautiful woman with a fluttering jade belt, and a gentle look in her eyes was fighting against 3 other chaotic divine demons at the supreme will realm with her black-armored companion. Right at that moment, they saw the mark of the pure white eye condensed in the sky. It's the highest level mark of the white eye. There's an unparalleled will realm existence that attacked our military. When the beautiful woman and the supreme will in black armor saw this scene, their expressions immediately turned ugly. Those shameless people under the chaos will are actually willing to do such a bad thing. The black-armored supreme will cursed loudly. He turned to the beautiful woman and said, "Yellow River, go and support that place. I'll do it alone. Can you?" Yellow River hesitated. The other party was in existence with 3 supreme wills. Yellow River was a little worried about him, but don't worry. I am the will of war. The will of war said lightly. In my eyes, all existences in the supreme will realm are like ants. Only the supreme will, the crimson overlord, and the chaos will are worthy of my reverence. These 3 chaotic divine demons can't do anything to me. The will of Yellow River was a little helpless in the face of the will of war's arrogant speech. But he did not refute it. The other party had attained supreme willpower through one of the paths of battle. He was born to be a battle maniac who fought against the gods. As soon as he reached the supreme willpower realm, his combat strength surpassed many old supreme willpower experts. Up until now, he had even become a top supreme willpower expert second only to the supreme willpower. The Crimson Overlord and the Chaos were known as peerless experts who might become the 4th willpower expert in the end. 1 against 3 supreme wills sounded dangerous. But to the other party, it was really nothing. Yellow River's will was not a hesitant person. Hearing this, he did not say anything else. He nodded and flew in the direction of Zhou fight. After seeing Yellow River's will leave, the will of war looked at the 3 chaotic divine demons who were attacking him. A wanton and arrogant smile appeared on his face. When little Yellow River was here, just now, I got into a bad fight. It's time for me to have the fun of fighting alone now. Will of war, you are too conceited. Your ego will cost you an irreparable price. Hey, Supreme Chaotic Divine Demon looked at them coldly and said, "Countless god spirits and even will-level existences have said the same to me. Now they have all been defeated by me, or even killed by me." The will of war said lightly, "Attack." The 3 chaotic divine demons could not be bothered to say anything else. They charged over and fought with the other party. the will of war, sensed that something was wrong as soon as they exchanged blows. This was because he had sensed that the strength that the other party had displayed was clearly more than half of what it had been before. So you were hiding your strength. Funny, funny, but that's not enough. Ha ha. The will of war laughed wantonly, and at the same time, his attacks became fiercer. The three chaotic divine demons had thought that they could join forces to kill the will of war after displaying their full strength. Unexpectedly, the will of war did not use his full strength. The suppression he had imagined did not happen at all. Even though they had displayed their true strength, they were still unable to suppress or even kill the will of war. They looked at each other. They did not panic even though their expressions were a little ugly. Since they had the confidence to surround and kill the famous will of war, they were naturally prepared. At the same time, on Zhou Marshall's side, he had already started fighting with these invading chaotic divine demon because they only had one supreme god on their side. Zhou Marshall also chose to take action personally this time. That Grade 1 supreme god was in charge of taking over one of the Grade 1 chaotic divine demon supreme gods. For the other four supreme god chaotic divine demons, Zhou Marshall was in charge of dealing with them. Zhou Marshall used a Grade 4 supreme divine artifact, the mysterious Dragon Dao sword, with a brilliant supreme god-level sword technique. All kinds of law skills erupted from his hands, overwhelming everyone. It looked like he was the myriad law sword master. Among the four supreme gods were two Grade 2 supreme gods, one Grade 3 supreme god realm, and one Grade 4 supreme god. There were a total of 4 supreme gods, coupled with the support of the supreme divine artifacts on their bodies. Their combat power had already far exceeded that of ordinary supreme gods of the same level. However, even so, they were still suppressed by Zhou Marshall. It could be seen how terrifying Zhou Marshall's combat strength was to this moment. Zhou Marshall was also feeling very carefree during this period of time, due to the continuous increase in the total military strength every day, especially the subsequent addition of the new supreme god. The king had also become stronger. That was the god spirit realm. Bloodline, law skills, combat experience, law comprehension, and so on of 10 supreme gods. With the augmentation above, he could still maintain a suppressive posture while fighting 4 people at once. Suddenly, the black dragon Dao sword in Zhou Marshall's hand stabbed into the forehead of the Grade 3 supreme god realm chaotic divine demon. A light cracking sound rang out. This Grade 3 supreme god realm chaotic divine demon looked at Zhou Marshall in a daze. Then, his eyes gradually became lifeless and he completely lost his breath. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The tilt of victory and defeat also happened in an instant. Zhou Marshall seized the opportunity and drew his sword. He killed another Grade 2 supreme god chaotic divine demon with his sword before the other 3 supreme god chaotic divine demons could react. When he wanted to kill the other Grade 2 supreme god chaotic divine demon, the 2 supreme god chaotic divine demons had already turned into 2 streams of light and fled into the distance. Trying to run? Zhou Marshall snorted coldly and transformed into a 9-colored stream of light. He instantly appeared in front of the Grade 2 supreme god and instantly killed him with one strike. Then, he transformed into a 9-colored stream of light again and attacked the last Grade 4 supreme god, the chaotic divine demon. This Grade 4 supreme god chaotic divine demon was specially left behind by Zhou Marshall, even though he was the strongest among all the chaotic divine demons. He, who was the only one left, was naturally no match for Zhou Marshall. After exchanging a few blows with Zhou Marshall, he was suddenly bitten to death by the dragon god of all life that suddenly appeared from his boots. I didn't realize. You were an old silver coin. Zhou Marshall looked at the embroidery of the dragon god of all life on his boots and chuckled. This dragon god of all life relied on its ability to transcend the heavens and the fact that the number 1 treasure vault was a treasure space shared between the main body and the clones. It often shuttled between the main body and the various clones. What a restless dragon. I'm not good at fighting. The only way to win for His Majesty is through a sneak attack, the dragon god of all life said. Indifferently, Zhou Marshall did not mind. He put away the corpses of the four supreme god chaotic divine demons and immediately went to the last supreme god chaotic divine demon, together with his supreme god subordinates. He dealt with this grade 1 supreme god to at this point. Among the invading chaotic divine demons, all 5 supreme gods had been dealt with. The remaining 20 chaotic divine demons were originally unable to deal with the 99 top-notch master god tiers that Zhou Marshall had brought with him. Now that they saw that the supreme gods who had led them here had all died in front of them, they immediately lost the intention to continue fighting. They immediately turned into 99 streams of light of various nomological laws and flew in all directions, wanting to escape. However, Zhou Zhou naturally would not let them leave. These were all living chaos divine treasures. Even Zhou Marshall would sigh after one of them escaped. Hence, he immediately ordered his 99 Lord Gods to capture all the Master God tier chaotic divine demons who wanted to escape and eliminate them one by one. Then, Zhou Marshall personally extracted their spoils of war. Zhou Zhou was very satisfied with the result. The 20 Master God tier chaotic divine demons dropped a total of 80 units of chaotic divine treasures. The 5 supreme god chaotic divine demons dropped 5 units of chaotic divine treasures just by dropping their basics. With the enhancement of the Lord talent and title, each supreme god chaotic divine treasure dropped a total of 18 units of chaotic divine treasures. The 5 of them added up to 90 units of chaotic divine treasures. All of them added up to 170 units of chaos divine treasures. My main body can now harvest more than 200 units of chaos divine treasures every day through the space-time chaotic divine demons, coupled with the 170 units of chaos divine treasures provided by the time ruins every day. In other words, the main body can now harvest about 400 units of chaos divine treasures a day. When he thought of this, Zhou Marshall's expression could not help but be pleasantly surprised. In that case, doesn't that mean that the main body only needs 3 days to upgrade the territory again and then upgrade the country? He muttered that a smile appeared on his face. He originally thought that 1,000 units of chaos divine treasures was a very distant goal. However, from the looks of it, it didn't seem difficult. Right at that moment, "How dare you!" a loud shout suddenly rang out. The world suddenly fell silent. Time stopped. Space froze. Everything is silent. The Master God tiers and Supreme Gods around Zhou Marshall were frozen in this instant, unable to move. Even the expressions on their faces and the thoughts in their hearts were frozen in this instant, unable to continue to at this moment. Even though Zhou Marshall was maintaining his king state, he felt that his soul and will had also stopped, and could not think. The last bit of his rationality, almost instinctively, knew what had happened the moment this terrifying thing happened at an existence at the Supreme Will Realm. It had descended. Is this an existence at the Supreme Will Realm? Even if my current strength has already reached a decent level among the grade 4 Supreme Gods, I still can't resist such an existence. At this moment, Zhou Marshall deeply felt the difference between a God spirit and a will-level existence, especially when a will-level existence with great malice towards him oppressed him with his will. He felt this even more deeply if the Supreme God was the pinnacle of the God spirit. In that case, an existence at the Supreme Will Realm had completely broken free from the constraints of the concepts and laws of the God spirits and reached a supreme level above the God spirits. The two are completely incomparable that it could even be said that they were not the same species. Fortunately, I'm just a clone of the main body, coupled with the existence of the Holy Fate umbrella. It shouldn't implicate the main body, Zhou Marshall thought to himself. Furthermore, an existence that might have long perished in a time ruin. The attack of him after his death shouldn't implicate him, who knew how many years later, right? Just as Zhou Marshall was prepared to accept his death in peace. Heavenly Furnace Lord, you are courting death. A delicate shout sounded. Then, the mighty yellow river underworld river flew over from afar like an abyssal dragon that crossed the heavens. Then, it charged into a certain chaotic void. The chaotic void let out a muffled groan. Then, a chaotic divine demon emitting scorching flames with the head of an ancient furnace emerged from the chaotic void. Yellow River. You came quickly. The chaotic divine demon known as the Heavenly Furnace Lord chuckled. Then, he looked at Zhou Marshall, who had already regained consciousness. What I didn't expect was that this little fellow from your Supreme Will faction would actually use your highest level Seeking Fire seed before seeing the arrival of a Supreme Will. He revealed a look of pity. If this fellow wasn't so timid, he might have died before he could use the Seeking Fire seed. Yellow Rivers will remain silent with a cold expression. He was actually somewhat puzzled. He wasn't sure if this fellow who had used the highest level Seeking Fire seed had known in advance that the Supreme Will was coming to attack, or if it was really as the Heavenly Furnace Lord had said. It was because he was timid that he had used the highest level Seeking Fire seed in advance. Actually, he had come a long time ago. However, when he saw that there were no other chaotic divine demons at the Supreme God or Master God tier level on the battlefield, he was immediately furious. This was because he felt that he had been deceived. Furthermore, it was a Master God tier deceiving a supreme existence like him. However, he wasn't a rash god, so he didn't appear immediately. Instead, he observed silently from the side. The will of war was powerful, so he wasn't worried that anything would happen to him in a short period of time. Therefore, he was relatively patient until the appearance of the Heavenly Furnace Lord. When he sensed the Heavenly Furnace Lord's supreme will, Yellow River's will was shocked, and then there's the rest. Right at that moment, Zhou Marshall, who had recovered, stood up and smiled at the Heavenly Furnace Lord in the sky. Zhou Marshall, who had recovered, stood up and smiled at the Heavenly Furnace Lord in the sky. Why are you still spouting nonsense without evidence? This emperor is not a coward. This emperor knew long ago that you would come. So he used the Seeking Fire seed to invite the will of Yellow River over. As he spoke, Zhou Marshall glanced at Yellow River's will. His expression did not change on the surface, but he felt a little emotional. That's beautiful. His temperament was also one in a million. In a wonder brother soul heaven couldn't forget him. As for Yellow River's will, it looked at him in surprise. Then he sensed something and his expression changed slightly. His gaze at Zhou Marshall suddenly became much gentler. As for the chaotic divine demon who was known as the Heavenly Furnace Lord, his expression darkened. Kid, you're just a small Master God tier. You only reached the Supreme God realm with the help of lost skills and mystic techniques. How dare you be rude to me? I'll teach you what it means to respect the strong. As soon as he finished speaking, the lid of the furnace above the Heavenly Furnace Lord's head suddenly opened. Then, a dark red divine fire flew out and pounced at Zhou Marshall. Shockingly, it was the divine flame of the Supreme Will realm. Zhou Marshall subconsciously held his breath in the face of the divine fire. However, he wasn't flustered or afraid that in the next moment, a beautiful figure appeared in front of him. It was the will of Yellow River. He waved his right hand, and the Yellow River flew out, directly extinguishing the supreme divine fire. The dark Yellow River water transformed into Yellow River Chi. The moment the surrounding chaotic airflow touched the Yellow River Chi, it instantly disappeared. The will of Yellow River, a mere master god, actually dares to call himself emperor in front of me. This is offending my prestige as a supreme will, and you're actually protecting him? The Heavenly Furnace Lord said with an ugly expression. He is a god spirit of my supreme will lineage. Even if he says that you're a pile of sh*t, I'll still say that you're too insulting. Yellow Rivers will said indifferently. You and the Supreme Will are indeed fellows from the same camp. Is it your tradition to offend the strong? Just like how the Supreme Will offended the Lord of Chaos who created him? The Heavenly Furnace Lord wanted to laugh out of anger. We are naturally polite to our friends, but there are not so many rules for our enemies. The Yellow Rivers will said coldly. Okay. Then let's have a fight and see who's right. Zhou Marshall observed silently from the side. After watching for a moment, his expression changed slightly. This was because he discovered that the will of Yellow River was actually unable to deal with this chaos. god fiend called Heavenly Furnace Lord. He could not defeat the Heavenly Furnace Lord in terms of combat strength alone. This chaotic divine demon was obviously better at fighting. But the will of the Yellow River was not that if this continued. The will of Yellow River would be defeated sooner or later, that time. He would be in danger. Zhou Marshall's expression was calm. He did not panic because of his own safety. He was only a clone after all. If he died, so be it. Yet, he did not give up so easily and was still thinking of a way to break out of this situation. However, he gave up that in the face of a battle between existences at the supreme willpower realm. His methods that could be said to be invincible at the supreme god level would be embarrassing in front of the supreme willpower realm. That it seems I am the first clone of my main body to die, Zhou Marshall thought in a self-deprecating manner. However, at that moment, he suddenly sensed something and looked into the distance. The mighty divine fist stained with countless blood of various colors surged over from afar. Its domineering might stretched across the chaotic void, making people feel fear at the sight of it. They even had the thought of surrendering without fighting. When the will of Yellow River saw this divine fist, a smile finally appeared on his face. The will of war was indeed worthy of being the #1 will below transcendence. It had actually rushed over so quickly. It had somewhat exceeded his expectations. Zhou Marshall heaved a sigh of relief. Even though it was just a clone, it would be better for it to not die. Meanwhile, the Heavenly Furnace Lord revealed a look of disbelief. He released a divine fire and shattered the fist of the Will of War. Then, he shouted, "Will of War, you're still alive. You seem disappointed that I'm not dead." The Will of War had already flown over from afar and landed in the chaotic void not far away as these words were spoken. His black armor was stained with some divine blood. Clearly, he had experienced a bloody battle. However, his gaze remained unyielding and invincible, as though he was invincible in the world. The Heavenly Furnace Lord's expression turned ugly. His expression changed slightly immediately after. Then, his divine body suddenly fused into the void and disappeared. Trying to run? The Will of War's eyes narrowed. Just as he was about to take action, he heard the Will of Yellow River say, "Leave it to me." After saying that, the Will of the Yellow River tapped his finger lightly. Immediately after, the vast Yellow River Nether River quickly appeared in the surrounding chaotic void. This Yellow River Nether River surrounded the surrounding chaotic void. In less than a moment, the Heavenly Furnace Lord appeared from the chaotic void with an ugly expression. "Yellow River," he said through gritted teeth. He had originally wanted to use the Chaos Escape technique to escape, but he didn't expect the other party to use the Yellow River sticks to seal the Chaos Void here, forcing him to appear. The Will of Yellow River and the Will of War didn't waste their breath on him at all. They directly rushed up to attack the Heavenly Furnace Lord in a 2-on-1 battle, in a 2-on-1 situation. The Heavenly Furnace Lord was at a disadvantage at this rate. If the Heavenly Furnace Lord did not have any helpers, he would definitely die at this rate. If the Heavenly Furnace Lord did not have any helpers, he would definitely die. However, he knew that there was not much hope for such a thing to happen. He was now at the back of the Supreme Will's camp after all. It was very difficult for other chaotic divine demons at the Supreme Will realm to appear in this position. Zhou Marshall, who had been observing the battlefield, quickly realized this. His eyes immediately lit up. Wasn't this a good opportunity to interfere in this battle of the Supreme Will realm? He didn't have high expectations. He just needed an assist. With an assist, it should be considered as completing the Time Ruins mission, right? At the thought of this, he no longer hesitated. He immediately stomped his right foot and summoned the dragon god of all life. He also asked he to use all his strength to assist the Will of War and the Will of Yellow River in killing the Heavenly Furnace Lord. When the little dragon came out, it was stunned when it saw the 3 Supreme Will realm existences fighting with all their might. And when he heard that Zhou Marshall wanted him to help the 2 Supreme Wills, he was even more dumbfounded. "Hey bro, as a Master God tier advanced Grade Dragon God, even if my strength has been enhanced to the level of a Grade 4 Supreme God in a short period of time because of Master's strength, Isn't it too much for you to ask me to assist two supreme will-level existences right from the start? Get stronger as much as you can. It doesn't matter how strong you are. What matters is participation. Zhou Marshall transmitted his voice secretly. The little dragon instantly understood. Hang on. After figuring this out, he immediately released his auxiliary law skills to the two supreme will realm existences, the will of Yellow River and the will of War immediately felt the support of the law skill from the dragon god of all life. During the battle, they looked at the dragon god of all life and Zhou Wu in surprise. Then, they were more or less relieved. He dared to participate in the battle between the supreme gods. Even though he did not contribute much, his courage was commendable. On the other side, when the heavenly furnace lord saw that the little supreme god dared to interfere in the battle between them, he was immediately furious. He even attacked Zhou Marshall through the will of Yellow River and the will of War. But he was stopped by the will of Yellow River and the will of War. You actually attacked a junior. How shameless. The will of War sneered. The heavenly furnace lord was too lazy to say more. After a while, the heavenly furnace lord, who did not wait for help, was finally killed by the will of Yellow River and the will of Ward at the same time. Zhou Marshall also received information regarding the completion of Time Mission 1. Zhou Marshall smiled. Sure enough, as long as he could assist, this mission to kill a chaotic divine demon with supreme willpower would be completed. He had said that it was a time mission to kill a supreme existence. How could it only be a supreme time mission? Sure enough, we'll have some experience next time. At the same time, the guy's finally dead. The will of Yellow River looked at the corpse of the heavenly furnace lord and heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he turned to look at the will of War and smiled. Fortunately, you came in time. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have been able to deal with him alone. The will of War nodded and suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood. At the same time, the aura on his body suddenly weakened by more than half. What's wrong with you? Yellow River's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly ran to his side and asked with concern. I suffered some injuries today. It's nothing serious. The will of War shook his head. It's not a small injury. The Yellow Rivers will frown slightly. He could tell that the will of War's injuries were very serious. It could be said to be the most serious injury he had ever seen since he knew the will of War. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was on the verge of death. He was injured by those three chaotic divine demons. The will of Yellow River thought of something and asked, how could those three idiots hurt me? The will of War said with a faint smile. Then, his expression turned solemn. It was the chaos will that injured me. Chaos will. Yellow River's will's expression changed drastically as he said in disbelief. How can the chaos will deal with you personally? His opponents should be the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord. Under normal circumstances, yes. But it's not normal. The will of War shook his head, and his expression became even more solemn. If I'm not wrong, the Chaos Will is going to launch an all-out attack on Lord Supreme Will and Lord Crimson Overlord. That's why he allowed the Supreme Willpower experts under him to disregard the rules and infiltrate our army, launching a surprise attack on our rear. The reason why they did such a thing should be to lure you away from me and leave me alone. Then, the Chaos will personally kill me. The will of War said. The Yellow River's will's expression changed. The dignified will of Chaos had personally come to kill the will of War. This may sound ridiculous, but it's possible. This was because the will of War was the most likely existence under the Supreme Will to be promoted to the will of War. If he could kill the will of War, it would undoubtedly greatly weaken the future development of the Supreme Will's faction. In addition, if what the will of War said about the general attack was true, then it was even more necessary to kill the will of War, an existence that might advance to the will of War in the future. Otherwise, when the will of War advanced to the willpower realm, the Supreme Will would have 3 Supreme Willpower Realm existences, and the Chaos Will only had him as a Supreme Willpower Realm expert. The situation would be even more disadvantageous to the Chaos Will. If the Chaos Will personally came to kill you, how did you survive? The Yellow Rivers Will reacted and asked curiously. I had a premonition that I might be in danger after you left, so not long after you left. I immediately used the communication secret treasure left behind by the Supreme Will and secretly contacted the Supreme Will, asking him to quickly rush over to save me. Later, when the Chaos Will began to attack me, the Supreme Will indeed appeared successfully, saving my life. However, before this, I was severely injured because I took a blow from the Chaos Will head-on. Fortunately, I survived, the Will of War said in a self-mocking manner. However, both the Will of Yellow River and Zhou Marshall could hear the danger at the same time. Zhou Marshall was even more shocked by the battle prowess of the Will of War as expected, of the fourth Supreme Expert, who had the potential to advance to the willpower level. He could actually survive an attack from the Chaos Will. Before the Supreme Will arrived, it was unbelievable. Right at that moment, boom, 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 an earth-shattering sound suddenly rang out from the primal chaos void. Yellow River's Will of War and Zhou Marshall raised their heads and looked up. Three supreme figures were fighting in the primal chaos void. Every time they attacked, the chaos would collapse. The entire chaotic void could not withstand the aftershocks of the battle emitted by their attacks. Later on, the chaotic void was even broken, revealing the ultimate void environment of the outside world. The three deities' expressions became solemn. This was because the three experts fighting were the Supreme Will, the Crimson Overlord, and the Chaos Will. The general attack actually started. The Will of Yellow River muttered when he saw this, "Don't hesitate. Let's go support the Supreme Will together." The Will of War quickly came back to his senses and said in a low voice, "But your wound." The Yellow Rivers Will looked at the near-death injury of the Will of War and hesitated. His injuries did not look like he could continue fighting. "It's just a mortal wound," the Will of War said lightly. Then, he suddenly hammered the spot between his eyebrows where the divine spark was. Something magical happened. A new energy burst out of his divine spark and quickly circulated throughout the Will of War's body. The Will of War, who had just been seriously injured and on the verge of death, recovered rapidly in the blink of an eye. It was even stronger than when it was at its peak. "In my condition, I can still hold out for a while. When time passes, I'll be even weaker. During this period of time, it should be enough for the Supreme Will to kill a few unmatched wills." The Will of War recovered and heaved a sigh of relief. Yellow River's Will reacted while seeing this. However, it stunned Zhou Marshall. Then, he sighed inwardly. This Supreme Will was indeed worthy of being the #1 expert under the willpower. He indeed had enough methods to turn the tables. He could even save himself from a near-death injury and still dared to continue fighting. Awesome. Right at that moment, he suddenly saw the Will of Yellow River and the Will of War turn to look at him. "Junior, stay here. A Supreme Will Realm existence from the Chaos Will camp has just died here. No other Supreme Will Realm expert should dare to come over in the short term," the Will of War said. "In a while, a group of supreme gods should come to you to help heal their injuries. At that time, I'll ask you for a favor and save them." Yellow River's Will said, "Rest assured, Your Excellency. Leave this to me." Zhou Marshall nodded. Yellow River's Will of War nodded and flew away. And on the way to the battlefield of the Supreme Will Realm, the Yellow River's Will suddenly said, "Did you see that?" "Yes." The Will of War nodded. "That Junior has the power of the Supreme Will. If I'm not wrong, he should be the successor chosen by the Supreme Will." At this point, the Will of War smiled and praised. "That Junior has extraordinary talent. He already has the combat power of a top Supreme God at the Master God tier level. When I was at the same age and realm as him, I was far inferior to him. Where did the Supreme Will choose such a good heir?" The Yellow River's Will also smiled. "How can we guess Lord Supreme Will's methods?" The Will of War nodded at the same time. "This time Ruins is worth it. Not only did I see the intense battle between the Supreme Willpower Realm experts, but I also saw the battle between the Supreme Willpower, the Crimson Overlord, and the Chaos Will. I'm afraid there are a few Supreme Will Realm existences who have never experienced such a thing, right?" Zhou Marshall lamented. Right at that moment, a scarlet stream of light descended from the sky and flew towards the area where they were. Zhou Marshall could tell at a glance that the other party was neither a chaotic divine demon nor a scarlet god spirit. He could only be an expert from the Supreme Will's camp. Tacto, catch him. Zhou Marshall said to the only Grade 1 Ultimate Void Supreme God in his team. Yes, Your Grace, Tacto said respectfully. Then, he immediately flew over and took the other party over. Subsequently, Zhou Marshall discovered that this was a Grade 3 Supreme God realm. Furthermore, the injuries on his body were extremely serious. If he did not receive treatment, he was afraid that he would be in danger of dying. Zhou Marshall did not hesitate when he saw this. He immediately took out a Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Divine Medicine and asked Tacto to help him swallow it. It was just a Grade 3 Supreme God Realm Divine Medicine. Any random Master God Tier Advanced Grade God Spirit could drop even dozens of them. Therefore, Zhou Marshall did not feel any reluctance at all, and not long after he ate the divine medicine, he gradually woke up. Who are you? He looked at Zhou Marshall in confusion. In his impression, there did not seem to be the existence of this supreme god. I'm a god spirit under the supreme will. I was just arranged by the will of Yellow River to save you injured god spirits who have landed in our garrison area. Your injuries are no longer serious. You'll recover with a good rest. Zhou Marshall consoled. Thank you, but I can't rest. I'm going to keep fighting. However, this Grade 3 Supreme God Realm did not listen to Zhou Marshall. He grabbed his weapon and flew into the sky again with a determined expression. Fighting with the chaotic divine demons under the chaos will, Zhou Marshall's expression was solemn when he saw this. But he did not dissuade them. With his injuries, he wouldn't be able to last long on the battlefield and would be killed by the enemy. Why did he insist on joining the battlefield? He might not be so lucky next time. Tacto did not understand. He has his reasons. There's no need to make wild guesses. Just do what we do. Zhou Marshall said. Yes, Your Grace. Tacto did not hesitate. In the following period of time, other supreme gods from the Supreme Will and Crimson Overlord's factions descended into the chaotic void region where he was stationed. After 2 to 3 hours, a total of 20 supreme gods were successfully cured by them, and then all of them rushed back to the battlefield without exception. After the 20 supreme gods were successfully cured, no supreme gods appeared. Only then did Zhou Marshall know that the number 20 was not random. Only 20 supreme gods would come to their territory to receive their treatment. And just after the 20 supreme gods were completely healed by them, large amounts of chaotic blood rain suddenly fell from the chaotic void. When the chaotic blood rain landed on Zhou Marshall and the others, other than the Grade 1 supreme gods, Zhou Marshall and Tacto, the other top master god tiers discovered that their cultivation realms and understanding of laws had improved. They were still very happy even though they did not improve much. Chaos-colored blood rain. Could it be? Zhou Marshall looked at the chaotic blood rain that filled the sky and had a guess. Soon, someone came to verify his guess. The weak Yellow River's will of war descended from the sky and landed in front of Zhou Marshall, different from the urgency they felt when they went to the battlefield. Although their auras were weak and they seemed to have suffered considerable injuries, their expressions were calm, and there was even a smile on their faces. Has the chaos will perished? Zhou Marshall asked. Yellow River's will of war smiled and nodded. We've won this war. The Yellow River's will sighed. I'm feeling a bit of an opportunity to get promoted. As the will of war spoke, he disappeared into the chaotic void. It seemed like he had gone into seclusion to digest his insights. Yellow River's will looked at this scene in surprise. When Zhou Marshall saw where the will of war had left, he had other thoughts in his mind. It was unknown if the will of war had survived. The chaos will in reality, without his existence and influence back then. It was unknown if the will of war had survived. The chaos will in reality without his existence and influence back then. The will of the Yellow River. Why did Lord Supreme Will and Lord Crimson Overlord join forces to deal with the chaos will? Zhou Marshall went straight to the point. Yellow River's will pondered for a second. Finally, after looking at Zhou Marshall's face, it slowly said a reply that Zhou Marshall had never expected. Do you know the Illusionist clan? I do. Zhou Marshall spoke after a second of silence. Could it be because? That's impossible. The Chaos Will would do such a thing? The illusionist clan is the fundamental enemy of our chaos universe. However, when the end of the Chaos Will was near, in order to continue his existence, he chose to join the illusionist clan. Fortunately, Lord Supreme Will and Lord Crimson Overlord discovered this in advance. In order to prevent our universe from becoming a gift from the Chaos Will to the illusionist clan, the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord decided to join forces to deal with the Chaos Will. At this point, the will of Yellow River snorted. As our father, the Chaos Will actually sided with the enemy. In order to please the other party, he even offered our common home to the enemy. We're ashamed to be with each other. He deserved to die today. After saying that, he exhorted, however, it's a shameful thing for our father to join the illusionist clan. Don't tell anyone. After the war ends, Lord Supreme Will and Lord Crimson Overlord will probably come up with other reasons to cover up the true reason for the death of the Chaos Will. Zhou Marshall nodded. Oh, this is the truth behind the death of the Chaos Will. In that case, even the information that the Bodhi Supreme told me was wrong. That's true. If the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord had the intention to hide it, it was normal that even the Bodhi Supreme did not know. Then, he took a look at the mission completion notification that had just appeared. System announcement. Time Mission 3, Chaos of Death, exclusive to Supreme Lord Reserve Army, has been completed. Gift of Time has been personally given out by the Supreme Will. The authority of your Supreme Lord Reserve has increased. Note, this mission is a hidden mission. It is unique. After completing this mission, the relevant mission content and mission target will disappear in the ruins of time. A smile appeared on his face. He did not expect this. Either, he cleared the Supreme Time Ruin with one try. With this experience, it would not be a problem to move around the time ruins every day in the future. This time ruins would become the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom's resource point for obtaining Chaos Divine Treasures. Lord Yellow River. I'm leaving. Zhou Marshall suddenly said, leaving? Yellow River's Will was stunned by Zhou Marshall's sudden words. However, he then recalled the identity of the Supreme Will's successor, so he didn't ask further. He nodded and smiled. I'll see you in the future. In the future, Zhou Marshall's gaze drifted as he thought of the reality that Yellow River's Will had already died. He fell silent for a second before nodding with a smile. Then, he suddenly asked, Your Excellency, do you know Brother Soul Heaven? Soul Heaven. Yellow River's Will revealed a blank expression. He shook his head and said, No, I don't. Zhou Marshall nodded and did not say anything else. After bidding farewell to the will of Yellow River, he chose to leave the time ruins. Soul Heaven. Yellow River's Will pondered for a few seconds and muttered to himself, Why did he mention this name? Right at that moment, a Master God Tier Advanced Grade God Spirit flew over from afar and landed in front of Yellow River's Will. He lowered his head and said respectfully, Lord Yellow River's Will, Lord Supreme Will, asked me to invite you over for a chat. The will of Yellow River nodded. Then, he looked at the Master God Tier in front of him and suddenly had a thought. Look up. This Master God Tier raised his head and glanced at the will of Yellow River. Then, his gaze subconsciously dodged to the side. What's your name? Yellow River's Will asked for no reason. Soul Heaven. The Master God Tier said nervously. Yellow River's Will was stunned. In a world of seven-colored light, Zhou Marshall stood there alone with a calm expression. He knew that this was the time ruins and was preparing to reveal the truth of this part of history. It was the same for Nadia's time ruins. Right at that moment, an illusory image appeared in front of him. Scene after scene flashed past. Zhou Marshall took a closer look. A moment later, he sighed softly. The true history of the past was not much different from the history of the ruins of time. However, in the ruins of time, because of Zhou Marshall, the visitor of time, the will of war, who should have died, unexpectedly survived and obtained the opportunity to advance to the will of war. In real history, the will of war did not communicate with the Supreme Will in advance and let the Supreme Will save him. In the end, he died at the hands of the Chaos Will. Yellow River's Will was almost killed by the Heavenly Furnace Lord. Fortunately, even though the Yellow River's will's combat strength was insufficient. His self-protection methods were not bad. He risked expending his origin to survive. However, even though he had survived, he would never be able to advance further. Even the strength of his supreme will had decreased greatly. Among all the supreme wills, his strength could be said to be at the bottom. Zhou Marshall shook his head and did not think much about it. The next day, Zhou Zhou slowly opened his eyes. He nodded slightly, feeling his evolution. At most, I'll be able to advance to grade 1 supreme sacred body by night. By then, I can create the supreme unique lord talent on my own. He muttered to himself. A smile slowly appeared on his face. The day had finally come. Then, he didn't think too much about it and walked out of the reincarnation sacred palace to Mugu. Upon seeing the arrival of His Majesty, Mugu and Wu Xian, who had already arrived, immediately stood up and said respectfully, "Greetings, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, I've already finished dealing with all the nest monsters. These are all the spoils of war," Wu Xian said excitedly. Then, he handed the 2 world rings to Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou took it with a smile and entered it with anticipation. When he saw the treasures inside, he couldn't help but take a deep breath before a smile appeared on his face. Among the 2 world rings, one of them contained 1,000 capital units, Supreme God Realm Soldier Recruitment Books, and 1,000 capital units, Supreme Holy Mage God Recruitment Books. The other world ring contained 1,000 capital units, Supreme God Realm Soldier Class Change Certificate, and 1,000 capital units, Supreme Holy Mage God Class Change Certificate. That's right. He smiled and muttered to himself. This was a total of 4,000 capital units recruitment books and class change certificates. He only had around 2,000 capital units soldiers under his command. The gains from the Scarlet Broodmother had doubled his overall military strength. The Scarlet Broodmother is really getting stronger. Zhou Zhou sighed. Zhou Zhou handed the world ring containing the class change certificate to the other party, Legion Commander Wu. As usual, you should find reserve recruits to change your profession. This emperor will go to the gate of summoning to recruit new recruits. He said, "Yes, Your Majesty," Wu Xian said respectfully. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, Wu Xian took his leave. Zhou Zhou watched as the other party left. Currently, the number of soldiers in the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom who needed to advance to the Supreme Soldier type every day had already reached an astonishing 2,000 capital units. The human race had long been unable to meet the demand of such a huge population for the class change certificate. Therefore, the additional class change certificate had already begun to be changed by the other races in the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. It was fine if there were not enough humans. There were many other people of foreign races. They could completely satisfy the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom's job change requirements. In any case, they were all citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. He could give them to anyone. He didn't think too much about it. After he left the Shepherd's Valley residence, he flew in the direction of the Gate of Summoning. In front of the Gate of Summoning, he came directly to the Gate of Summoning. He first called for an eternal battleship of the Master God tier advanced grade, then threw all the recruitment books in. Finally, he spent 100 intermediate true God tier divine crystals to recruit all of them in one go and arrange them on this eternal battleship. Then, he looked over a total of 400 capital units. Extraordinary tier troops were neatly arranged in the inner world of the eternal battleship. Zhou looked at their heroic appearances and nodded in satisfaction. Then, he got Zero to lead the 2,000 capital units army to look for Zhou Marshall. Then, he opened the original Dragon Abyss interface of the Gate of Summoning and spent 100 Master God tier elementary grade divine crystals to summon 66,666,600 pure-blooded dragons. He also placed them on the Eternal Mothership. Then, he carefully observed these dragons and was surprised to discover that there were 2 pure-blooded dragons among them. Zhou's eyes lit up and showed. The 10% chance of summoning 2 legendary dragons had been triggered. He looked over carefully. One of the 2 legendary dragons had a bright purple body and 2 purple vortexes in his eyes. When he let out a low dragon roar, The surrounding space and time would faintly tremble that it was the legendary dragon, the sacred sound divine dragon. This was a legendary dragon who had become a master god tier with the law of sound. He was famous even among all the legendary dragons. The other legendary dragon was completely white, with golden patterns flowing on its skin. It had 36 pairs of pure white dragon wings on its back and a golden dragon crown on its head. It looked extraordinary and ethereal. It was the legendary dragon, the heavenly realm dragon god. It's actually the heavenly realm dragon god. Zhou Zhou wasn't too surprised to see the divine dragon. But when he saw the heavenly realm dragon god, he couldn't help but be surprised. This heavenly realm dragon god was also known as the dragon god of salvation. It was said to be the rarest legendary dragon among all the dragons. Even other legendary dragons would find it extremely difficult to find this. Heavenly realm dragon god. Rumors. The heavenly realm dragon god would only appear when the dragons were in danger of extermination. Once it appeared, it would save the dragons from danger. The reason why he said that was because the heavenly realm dragon god possessed an extremely rare resurrection ability. He could easily resurrect dragons, even legendary dragons. However, apart from its resurrection ability, the heavenly realm dragon god had no other abilities. Therefore, every time the dragons were in danger, the heavenly realm dragon god would wake up from the mysterious dragon realm and come to the main world. It would revive the powerful dragons who had already died and even the legendary dragons, allowing the dragons to return to their peak. Even the first venerable, the primordial dragon, did not possess the power to revive the dragon race. It was precisely because of the existence of the heavenly realm dragon god that even though the dragon race had experienced the danger of extermination several times, and there were even 3 top-notch bloodline races that had participated in the crisis, the dragon race had survived them one by one. As a result, there was a rumor in the myriad worlds. If you want to completely exterminate the dragons, you must first exterminate the heavenly realm dragon god. If the heavenly dragon is not dead, the dragon clan will not be destroyed. Hence, the heavenly realm dragon god had a rather sacred status among the dragons. Zhou Zhou looked at the other party. Out of curiosity, he teleported the other party and the sacred sound divine dragon over with a thought. "Greetings, Your Majesty." The sacred sound divine dragon, Idol said respectfully. The heavenly realm dragon god said the same thing. They looked at Zhou Zhou with warm and friendly eyes. As legendary dragons, they could also feel the almost unbelievably rich legendary dragon bloodline in their emperor, not to mention he himself. Even the first venerable, the ancestor of the dragon race, might not be able to compare to the purity and nobility of such a legendary dragon bloodline. Therefore, if Zhou Zhou were to look at the loyalty of Ashley and Idol at this moment, he would be surprised to discover that their loyalty was at the Holy Spirit level. "Ashley, as the dragon god of salvation of the dragon race, you actually came to this emperor's place. Did you have a premonition that the dragon race would welcome a calamity?" Zhou Zhou asked with concern. Now, the dragon race had long become an indispensable part of the blazing sun god race. They could even be considered one of the direct descendants of the blazing sun divine kingdom. Therefore, Zhou Zhou was naturally very concerned about the safety of the dragon race. Idol also looked at Ashley nervously. As one of the legendary dragons, he naturally knew the uniqueness of Ashley's identity. Therefore, he was also very nervous, afraid that he would hear something bad about the future from Ashley. However, Ashley shook its head in confusion after hearing Zhou Zhou's words. "Your Majesty, I'm not too sure either. I was sleeping in the dragon realm. I didn't sense any danger from the dragons. I only vaguely felt a summoning. Then, I subconsciously responded to the summoning and came here." Zhou Zhou, the original dragon abyss, was pretty domineering. This dragon was sleeping, but it actually got pulled over. However, it was fine as long as the dragons were fine. Idol also heaved a sigh of relief at the side that it turned out to have experienced the same situation as it. "Then it is fine. Can you only resurrect dragons, or can you resurrect any life form?" Zhou Zhou asked curiously. "Your Majesty, I can only revive the dragons and not other life forms. However, resurrecting the dragons will only consume divine power. Unlike the gods of life and death, It requires faith divine crystals. Ashley said. Zhou Zhou nodded. That was not bad. Then, he chatted with Ashley and Idol for a while before telling them the location of the dragon's encampment and asking them to meet up with the other dragons. Then, he spent another 100 Master God tier elementary grade divine crystals to recruit today's new subjects that in the end. He had recruited more than 2.61 billion new subjects with the strength of extraordinary tier advanced grade today. He had summoned more than 200 million new subjects than usual. This naturally included the 14 Master God tier elementary grade God spirits. Zhou looked at the 14 Master God tier elementary grade God spirits and smiled. They were all free clan protecting experts if he filmed it and sent it to the Lord channel and the Battle channel. Those people of foreign races would probably be envious.